Hey friend, hey, and welcome to the Get Your Life Together podcast. I'm your host, Kelley Johnson, an author and certified life and wellness coach. If you're an ambitious woman who's ready to get unstuck, stop settling, and stop playing small so you can become your best self and manifest a life you love, this is going to be your new favorite podcast. I'm here with all the spiritual advice and science-backed mindfulness practices to help you rediscover your true gifts and purpose. It's time for you to enjoy a freedom-based life of fulfillment, happiness, love, and luxury. Now, if you're ready to become besties as I guide you to becoming the most empowered, confident, and aligned version of you, just keep listening. It's time to get your life together. Hey family, it's Kelley Johnson here, and welcome to today's episode of the Get Your Life Together podcast. Today, we're talking about navigating the holiday pressures with self-care. Because, show of hands, have you ever felt the pressures of showing up during the holidays and it caused you to experience things like overwhelm and feelings of stress and worry? Show of hands. If you raise your hand, you're not alone. I've been there. And that's even with me having an awesome family. 2 awesome families now since I got married to the love of my life back in August. It requires a lot of busyness oftentimes with holidays, especially when families don't live in the same state or even the same city. And they ask you to show up to multiple places. And if you have friends, forget about it. There's parties and gatherings galore. So it's like, how do you navigate this? How do you find some sort of sense of balance so that you can have peace in your life? I learned that when busyness tries to take over, it's important for me to find that sense of balance and create intentional ease. So I want to share with you how I was able to do that, because those feelings of overwhelm and uneasiness and like I'm just being run ragged and trying to keep up with everything going on doesn't serve me. And when I get into spaces with other people, it could also possibly show in my face, my body language, or just in the ability for me to participate in certain conversations or activities. So if you want to make sure you are creating a balanced, pressureless experience during the holidays using self-care, this is the episode for you. So here are my 5 ways to lighten your mental load during the holidays. Number 1, develop an easy self-care routine or double down on the one you already have. On your self-growth journey, if you're not new to this, you may already have a self-care routine that works for you during different seasons in your life, whether that season is you on your menstrual, or the season is you when you have a busy schedule, or the season is when you have a light load during the week. See if there's one of your self-care routines that you can incorporate during this time of busyness, where the ask of you to show up becomes heightened. Or maybe it's time for you to develop a whole new self-care routine altogether, something that you can dedicate to the holiday season. Get your notepad, your iPad, your laptop, or notebook, and jot down some self-care activities that you enjoy and that you can do. As a life and wellness coach, I often see people, not people that are my clients, but I often see people incorporating self-care activities into their routine that don't really serve them. They think they're supposed to be the girl that wakes up at 5 a.m. and works out for an hour and then goes for a run for 3 miles and then walks on the treadmill. It's just a whole bunch of things that really aren't designed for them. They are more so the person like me, for example, where it's like, as a projector, if you're familiar with human design, I'm someone who likes to take it easy. I don't have a consistent type of energy flowing through my body. That's just how I'm designed. And that's okay. So I'm someone who enjoys a slow morning, someone who can get up and journal, pray, meditate, yoga, slow activities, slow movement. And that's what lights me up. That energizes me, brings me joy. And although I can't sustain the energy all day, for the time that I need it, it's very effective. So determine what it is that you need. Determine what it is that lights you up, that brings you joy, instead of just doing what the next person is doing or that girl. Be your own person, be your true self, and fuel and nourish yourself the best way possible for you. The next thing you can do is set boundaries. This is a huge one. I almost feel like this was better served to be number one, but I didn't put this in any particular order of importance. But setting boundaries, huge. If you are someone who just doesn't feel like going to 5 different houses in 2 evenings, don't. Just don't do it. You are not obligated to show up for everybody who requests you. And that's not to be mean. It's just to protect your peace. Because again, how best will you show up if you don't have the energy, the mental capacity, or even the interest in being there? Stop forcing yourself into places where you don't want to be. It's going to affect your mental health. It may cause anxiety and overwhelm and stress. You've probably experienced this before, where you forced yourself to go above and beyond when you did not have the capacity to do so, and you were left feeling drained. You were disappointed in yourself, maybe even angry that you did not put yourself first. So now's the time to stop doing that. Set those boundaries. Make a list of who you absolutely want to see and design your schedule to fit those visits. Create opportunities to engage in activities there that will light you up, that you feel engaged in participating in, and that you were excited to share with others. Think of stories you want to share about your life and the ones you don't. I know so many people who have like that nagging aunt who's like, oh, you dating anybody? When you getting married? When y'all having kids? It's like, all right, certain topics off limits, no disrespect. And that's how you want it. That's how it should be. You do not have to bend for others. As I got older and joined the 30 and up club, I really learned the importance of setting boundaries and creating limits and barriers essentially between where I want my energy to be and where I want it to stay. I had to get honest with myself and not feel guilty that there are certain people I just don't have the energy to engage with. It's not that they're bad people. It could be for a myriad of reasons, just different mindset, different interests, different objectives, or maybe they're just too gossipy for their own good. Like there could be so many reasons. And again, not to say they're a bad person. It could just be a season where they're not your cup of tea, or a season where they are currently draining you, or a season where your lives just differ too much to relate. It's okay. So figure out your boundaries and then enforce them. Once you write down what they are, write down who you are, your values, what you'll stand for, what you won't stand for, what you want to discuss and what you don't, it's time to enforce them. This might be even harder for some than writing what the boundaries are. But when you get into these spaces, don't rush. Don't rush. Give yourself time to pause and think about how you're going to engage in those conversations where your boundaries are enforced. The goal is not to be rude here. The goal is to protect your peace. You can stand firm and not be disrespectful at the same time. In doing so, you may even gain the respect of others. And if not, that's their business. That's for them to deal with. You have no control over how others will perceive or receive you. Find peace in that. Be true to yourself and know that protecting your peace is most important. So set those boundaries. Number 3, keep up with your vitamins and minerals and pre and probiotics, please. And if you can fit in some of your workouts as well, great. Maybe there's modified versions of it. You can't go for your hour-long run, make it 30 minutes. You don't have time for a 1.5 hour yoga session, make it 45 minutes. Figure out where you can plan to implement your normal routines during the holidays. Yes, it's vacation time, but you also don't want to be feeling groggy and constipated and sluggish and fatigued because you stopped taking your vitamins or your green juice, no matcha, nothing, like no movement whatsoever. And then you're mad at yourself because you're 5 pounds heavier. For some people, you're like, I don't care if I lose weight, and that's fine. I go on vacation, I check my stomach, and I'm like, oh, look at that, a couple pounds. Oh, well. That means I ate good, okay? So figure out what works for you, what you're comfortable with, but do attempt to still take care of yourself. It's important so that you can have the energy for the people and places you want to show up with and for during this time. And again, it's okay if your diet looks a little different. It's okay if you gain a few pounds. It's okay if you didn't work out 5 times a week and instead worked out 2. It's okay. Redefine what it means for you in this time to be fulfilled, for you to enjoy, for you to feel full, not just from the food, the banging mac and cheese. It's also from the fullness of life, the fullness of being present around people that you love and adore. So again, no judgment here. Like, indulge how you want to indulge. If it's more wine, let it be more wine. If it's the second serving of somebody's creamy mac and cheese, enjoy it for me too, please. Like, it's okay. I had to learn the importance of even snacking and not feeling bad about it. You know, it's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's vacation. It's family time. I love my body. I'm taking care of my body and I'm enjoying the fullness of life. So please don't abandon all of your healthy habits, and also make sure you are still enjoying your life. Okay, number 4. Okay, so the next one is stick to a budget. This does not mean limit yourself, especially if you intend to give gifts or to purchase and bring food, things like that. You don't want to limit yourself to the point where you are bitter because you didn't participate the way you wanted to participate in certain events. But you also want to be mindful. Like, I don't love to limit myself financially, not that I love to splurge or anything, but I don't want to have a scarcity mindset where I'm walking around thinking money's not coming back to me. In fact, I tell my husband all the time, when I do make purchases for things that are maybe on the more expensive side, I'm like, the money's going to come back. I just have that belief. I used to have a scarcity mindset where I thought money was hard to get and, you couldn't get a lot of it. Definitely not consistently. What do we hear? Things like money doesn't grow on trees. Like, it was a real scarce mindset that I had around money. But with my growth mindset, when it comes to my money and finances, even though it was hard or challenging to develop as an entrepreneur until I really sat down and did some mindset work with a coach, I realized money's easy to get. If you put your intentions out there, take action, do the work, it's going to come. Like, the money will come back. But you also don't want to spend it in a way that's disrespectful to yourself and your pockets. And so I do recommend having some sort of budget, because you don't want to look at your credit card statement or your checking account balance, the month after when things are due and you're like, oh, I spent that much. Wow, I didn't really mean to be balling out like that. I don't know if I got it. Like, you just want to be mindful. You want to be very mindful, because things can get out of hand, and you also can end up agreeing to things that you don't have the funds for. Like, for example, I've been in situations where I've been around people that I care and love about, and especially if you haven't seen them in a while, they're like, hey, you want to do this type of trip? You want to invest in this? You want to do that? And without thinking, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm down here. And then I would look at an account and be like, oh, wow, I don't really got it. And fortunately, I'm not in a financial space where I'm not thinking about not having it. It's more so, is this the best place for my funds to be? Because I am doing well. My husband and I are both doing well. We're very blessed. And now it's up to us to make sure we are planning properly for the future we want to have, for the future home, for our future children, for our families. It's like, what does that look like for our finances? Not that we have to limit ourselves to enjoy life, because shoot, everybody tells us we're like on a trip every month, and they ain't wrong. So we are, again, very blessed. We want to live full lives, of course. So in order to do that, we have to be mindful of where our money is going. We know where it's coming in. Well, definitely him. For me, it is a little more unpredictable, because as an entrepreneur, opportunities come left and right, whether I'm searching out for them or which mostly happens, they come to me, thankfully. So being mindful. So I almost want to say have mindful finances. rather than stick to a budget. Because honestly, I don't even really love that word budget. It's helpful. And I know people who are planners and like organization and sticking to plans with no variety. Love it. My husband loves it. He talks about budgets all the time. I'm just like, I'm just be mindful of these finances. And I do take note, of course, bookkeeping, things like that, of where money's coming in and where it's going. So do what works for you. Even call it whatever you want, honey. Like, figure out what works for you. Just be mindful. Just be mindful. Okay. Now the last one, number 5, is use your calendar to plan out your to-dos. I'm a very big to-do list type of gal. When I don't have my to-do list, I feel like I'm grasping at invisible straws, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do that day. It just doesn't go well. So personally, I do like to be organized in my schedule, I will say. That I cannot just go and do day by day, because I'll just be, what do they say, like flying by the seat of my pants. Like it just doesn't go well. I feel very lost, and I spend a lot of my mental capacity figuring out what to do instead of doing what I intended to do. You know what I mean? So plan out in advance as much as you can. Your shopping trips, your cooking, the days you want to cook, the days you're visiting friends, you have events, you have plans, the days you want to get your nails done, your hair done, maybe your doctor's appointments, whatever it may be, plan that out in advance so you are not scrambling. Scrambling is going to be key to your stress. And you don't want to be stressed. So make sure you are taking care of yourself by planning in advance, using a calendar to see what your day-to-day schedule looks like on a week-to-week basis. That way you're not surprising yourself. And especially if you have like a partner, they might be agreeing to events you knew nothing about. So get in touch with them and ask. Even being newlyweds, my husband, would get invited to things, and sometimes he'd forget to tell me. And then it's like the day before, or it's happened before the same day. And he's like, hey, we have this tonight. I'm like, tonight? Tonight? Who's tonight? This tonight? Like, what? God bless his heart. And we had to learn to communicate in a way where we knew what was going on. So we have like a calendar in the house. Occasionally, I would make sure, especially anything we have where we both have to show up, I put it in our calendars on our phone, which then shows up on our laptops and our iPads. So we linked up, okay? Like linked up in matrimony and in calendars. So I highly recommend doing that. It works for us. It's fantastic. There's no thinking. It's all there. It's all there. There's no question, okay? So I would recommend it. It saves us a lot of stress. It saves others a lot of stress. My clients love it. Like, this is exactly how you keep things in order. Now, if you're somebody who's not a fan of order, God bless you. Just live your spontaneous, safe life. And I know some people, now I'm not on this level of organization currently, I'll say, who knows what the future holds, but they'll even have like spreadsheets of their menus with recipes and ingredients and shopping places they can go. Like, if you're that person, do you, boo. Do all of that. I'm sure them spreadsheets are going to look beautiful, color coordinated with all the details, all the bells and whistles. I support it. And so that might be your level. Do what works for you, okay? Find what makes you feel good, what makes you feel comfortable, the truest version of you and how you want to live. This is how you get it together. This is how you get off the struggle bus of life, especially around the holidays, where that struggle bus can be coming at 90 miles an hour trying to scoop you up and then toss you off, still running. This is how you take control. This is how you take your power back so you can stand in your power during these holiday times. All right. And I know I said I was going to give you 5, but I do have one more, and that's to please get some fresh air. It's getting darker earlier now. Like, it's like 4:45 and it gets dark now. Not a fan, but this is where we are. So until they change daylight savings, we in darkness really early. I do recommend during the day, if you can, getting some sunlight, going for a walk, putting on a podcast, sitting at a bench when the weather warrants it, when you dress properly. enjoy it. Enjoy that sunlight, get that vitamin D, boost your endorphins, like make yourself feel better. Find what feels good to you. This can really help for anyone, especially that has like seasonal affective disorder. Anytime you spend outdoors is helpful. It's helpful. The sun is just going to warm you up. It's going to feel like a big old hug. That's what it does for me, so find what that is like for you. Keep lights on. They actually have lights. I know Philips has one. This is not sponsored currently, but transparency, I did have a brand partnership with them like 3-4 years ago. I think it was, no, like two years ago. And they have these like lights, they're alarm clocks. And I had one. It was really cool. I gave it to my mom. She uses it now, but alarm clocks that also double as a light that mimics the sunrise, like the sun coming up during the day, and it just gets brighter and brighter as you wake up. I'll remember to find it if they still sell it. I'll put that link in the bio. This is not sponsored. Yes, I was sponsored by them in the past, but they're not asking me to say this right now. I'm currently just thinking of how to best serve you. So that's an option. And if you don't want that one, I'm sure you can find something similar online. Amazon has everything, y'all. So checking there, checking Walmart, checking Target, checking Best Buy. Like there are options. Find what can mimic the sunlight to you. Open your blinds. Please don't be in the house in the dark all day. Just open the blinds. Crack open the window for a bit. Get some fresh air. Take a walk. This is how you protect your peace. This is how you use self-care to balance the pressures of the holidays. You just make your best effort. You make your best effort. This is proactive so that it limits the chances of you experiencing that anxiety, that stress, even that depression that can come up and show up into your life and last for a while. This is how you cope with the holiday anxiety and stress. This is how you find peace. This is how you find joy. You create the joy, rather. Just manifesting the best case scenario for the holidays. Okay? So hopefully this is helpful. Let me know which tips you're going to try. If you love this episode, share it with a friend or family member. Screenshot it, put it in your IG story so I know you watched it and enjoyed it. And please give this episode a 5-star review if you enjoyed. Well, we can't review the episode, so we can review the podcast. So let's do that instead. And, may you have a stress-less holiday season. Sending you so much love. Thank you so much for listening, and I cannot wait to speak to you in the next episode. In the meantime, get your life together.